Hey everyone, I'm XDRX, and today I'm talking about a very valuable and exciting piece of information found in the new Uncharted game. It's only been a day since its release, and the community is already finding a staggering amount of information about both the game itself and possibly some other games in development by Naughty Dog already. Some of you have yet to play the game, so I'm going to be as vague as possible to avoid giving out any spoilers. So, with that in mind, let's continue. In a room in Uncharted 4, late in the game, two particular posters can be found by the player, and both of which pay homage to Naughty Dog's previous video game, The Last of Us. The first poster is a futuristic-themed poster, and it says, Savage Starlight. Savage Starlight is a comic book series from The Last of Us universe. The comics were collectibles for Joel to find to give to Ellie. The second poster is a little bit more interesting. It features a lady who appears to be pregnant. She's also wearing a mask, which is commonplace in The Last of Us given the situation. She is also, much like Joel on the front cover of the game, is holding a revolver. Now, the text in red does say American Daughters, but what looks like it could be The Last of Us in text is obstructed with other pictures. It is likely to say The Last of Us, I don't see why it wouldn't, but it could for whatever reason say something along the lines of The Rest of Us. I'm not saying the title is going to be different, but I am saying the text is obstructed, so it's hard to say if the game will be called The Last of Us or not. It could be called something different like The Rest of Us to signify that it's the second installment within the franchise. Something to note here is that Naughty Dog has a history of teasing upcoming games in their latest entries. In Uncharted 3, they teased The Last of Us in a newspaper article in the first chapter. I've already seen multiple articles published about this. The teaser in Uncharted 4, I mean. And I've seen a video, not in its entirety mind you, by PS4 Trophies. The articles more or less touch on the same idea, that the woman in the poster could be a much older pregnant Ellie. I, however, don't believe that this is the case, and here is my explaining as to why. The Last of Us 2, based off of this poster, will be a prequel that takes place before Joel's story. And by before Joel's story, I mean his story during the apocalypse, not as it was starting. So everything after 20 years later appears on the screen. The story will start 5 to 6 years into the apocalypse with Ellie's mother, Anna. We'll go through and experience Anna's story with how she conceived Ellie, who's Ellie's dad, how much of a role he plays in her life, and how her story intertwines with the rise of the Fireflies. Say that 5 times fast. Why don't I believe that it's Ellie who is on the poster? Well, maybe I interpret it wrong, which is a possibility, but in the Left Behind DLC, Ellie and her friend Riley share a kiss. Maybe Ellie is a lesbian, maybe it was just a heat of the moment sort of thing. I don't know for sure. But I do feel like Ellie is fairly infatuated with Riley. And this goes way before the Left Behind DLC. If you pre-ordered The Last of Us when it was first available, you got comic number 1 of 5 comics in the American Dreams series. Now, American Dreams was a short series of comic books done by Dark Horse, I believe, and they touched on the backstory between Ellie and Riley, like how they met and their adventures before they were both infected. Now, you could argue the idea that Ellie could be bisexual, but I, for one, don't think so. She had a friendly connection with Sam in the game, but it wasn't anything more than that. It's tough to tell whether or not it would have been anything more than a friendship because, well, you know if you played the game.
Ellie, are you alright?
Oh my god.
Sam?
Oh no.
Sam? Henry? Ellie, stay there. Henry?
What have you done?
I'm gonna get that gun from me, okay?
Not to mention the traumatic experience Ellie had with David. Now, in my opinion, if someone were to experience anything like Ellie did, and it did take a toll on her, mind you, as she wasn't her normal self during the spring chapter of the game, I doubt they would ever trust anyone with their body enough to have a baby with them. I just don't think Ellie would be mentally or emotionally capable of having a baby after such an experience, even if it is a long time into the future. I believe an article in Game Informer I read stated that the giraffe scene actually touches on Ellie's persona after the winter scene. The article said something along the lines of, the giraffes were a form of symbolism. They are very pure natural creatures, and when they leave the screen behind a city overtaken by Mother Nature and the music dies down, it symbolizes what was once a happy, spunky Ellie is no more. It's left and been corrupted by a person overtaken with the burden of surviving. And that is why I believe The Last of Us 2 will be more about Anna's story. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, leave a thumbs up to show that you did. Okay, see you in the next video. Until then guys, later.
Thank you.